Hi, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise. Tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's practice is about meeting opportunity with enthusiasm. Let's meet the new day with an invigorating flow sequence. We're going to see how many times we can run through this little flow once we've found our rhythm. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to begin our practice by finding a tall mountain stand, arms relaxed at your side. Take a moment to root to the earth with your feet. Start to lengthen the line of your legs. Curl your tailbone gently in towards your belly button line and start to lengthen the line of your spine and trunk. Allow your shoulders and your arms to relax towards the ground and allow your neck and your crown to grow to the sky. Take a big breath in. On an exhale, make your right arm, shoulder, and ear heavy to the floor. Pause and breathe and open up through the left side of your ribs. Inhale to center align. Exhale to drop left and expand the right side of your ribs. Inhale to center align. Let's find that drop on the first side and let's arc frame with the left arm and see if you can open up the little intercostal spaces between the ribs on the left, looking for even more expansion. Inhale to come back to the middle. Long exhale to repeat on the second side. Inhale to center align. Take a long inhale in for a slow count of 10 as you angel wing the arms overhead to come down on the exhale in prayer along the center line. We're going to do that twice more. Sinking movement to breath. Take a big breath in and come to a standing back bend, throwing your arms overhead and bumping your hips forward over your knees. Then exhale for table, sweeping the arms behind you, and do that twice more, alternating between the standing back bend and your tabletop sweep. End in the tabletop position, and then dangle your arms to the floor in a halfway lift. Then tap or fold to the floor and come back to your halfway lift 3 times. Take a fold and hold it, hands to floor, or connect higher up along the chain of your legs. Step back into a 4-point kneeling frame and start to move in cat-cow, alternating between a hollow and a rounded back. Inhale for the hollow back, exhale for the rounded cat frame. Play in Chakravakasana for a few, cat-cow. And then find your way to a neutral tabletop line. Stretch through the neck and the spine. Keep that long, stretchy spinal line and extend the left leg out and the right arm. Rotate your palm in. Float your extended limbs to the tabletop position, and when you're ready, begin to bird dog. Exhale to tuck, inhale to reach. Giving yourself maybe 5 repeats. End in the tuck, hold that contraction. Then extend, reach, stretch, grow. Find your way back to 4-point kneeling and cat-cow out for a bit. Find your way to neutral. Extend the right leg and the left arm, rotating your palm in. Float up to your working tabletop line and begin to tuck and reach when you're ready. Hold your last tuck, then stretch, reach, grow. Find your way from here into a basic down dog frame and then start to reach through on the oblique, tapping through, one on either side, then a knee graze to the floor. When you're tapping through, you could be reaching for your ankle, your calf, your shin, or the outside of your thigh. Give yourself between 3 to 5 repeats. We're going to end in the down dog frame. We're going to pause there for a bit. And then try to create more distance between your hands and your feet by wiggling your feet further apart, taking a longer down dog stretch. Ease your way into a plank line. Start to dip your hips through the plank line into an up dog, and then morph your up dog into a high cobra by releasing your knees, shins, and feet to the floor. Start to bend the elbows super slowly and reconnect your thighs and your belly, and maybe just 1 or 2 ribs to the mat. Pause. Keep the chest lift and add a double leg lift. Then sweep the arms behind you, coming into a locust line. Stay here or find stick pose by squeezing the 2 feet together, squeezing the 2 hands together, and fisting the hands, drawing the 2 shoulder blades together behind you. Then open up the legs and drop your forearms to the mat, pressing away in Sphinx pose and looking for a long swan-like frame through the back. We're coming into a side plank on the right. Rotate the right arm in. Flip over onto your right hip, keeping the legs staggered or stacking them one on top of the other and bringing the top arm to frame your ear. Maybe you can lift your hip off the floor. Pause for a moment. Release back down. You can keep your bottom leg extended or you can bend it. We're going to hug the top knee in towards our armpit. Stay here or reach for the back of your thigh, the back of your calf, or maybe your toes or your foot, and see if you can extend your left leg up to the sky, keeping strong on the bottom shoulder and rib cage. Back to Sphinx on the belly. Remember to press away from the mat and grow the line of your spine. Float the left arm in, rotate onto the left hip, finding the leg line that works for you. Sweep the right arm overhead, maybe lifting your hip off the floor, pausing, looking for strength and control. Reconnect your bottom hip to the floor and start to hug your top knee in towards your armpit. Find an A-line stretch when you're ready. Back onto the belly in your Sphinx. And then begin to tuck your toes under. Start to make your bum heavy and start to slide your hands back, coming into a toe breaker child stretch, thinking of taking a bow to the floor and pressing into your palms, relaxing your forehead to the floor. Keep the toe breaker stretch. Let's take an off-center creep to the right, bringing your head, your trunk, your arms with you, pausing when you've found your maximum stretch. Then take the left leg, the leg that's furthest away from your creep. Sweep it towards the top end of your mat and rearrange yourself in a wide straddle. You could keep your hands on the floor, you could reach for the outside of your feet, or you could come into more of a tabletop position, hands on your hips, if bringing your head into a full inversion is not happening for you right now. Find a wide straddle that works for you and pause. Squaring up to your feet and activating your inner thighs. Then look towards the front of your mat and place your hands off center, retracing your palm back to your toe breaker, off center child creep position. Walk your way or creep your way back to the center, taking a pause before you repeat to the second side. Finding an off center creep to the left, pausing. Taking the leg that's furthest from your creep zone, sweeping it towards the top end of the mat and rearranging yourself in a wide standing straddle. Every time you find the wide straddle, see if you can take the legs a little bit further apart and look for more work along the inseam of your legs. Look to the top end of your mat, place your hands off center towards the top end, swing your lead leg back, finding your way to your off center child creep position. Find your way back to the middle and then morph your toe breaker child into puppy pose by releasing the bridges of your feet and sliding your arms forward, thinking chin and chest, looking off the front of your mat. Then draw your arms back one at a time, stacking underneath your shoulders to round out into a cat stretch and hold the cat stretch once you find it. Tuck your toes under, coming into a relaxed dog. Start to peel your knees off the mat. Press your bum towards the end of the mat and find your way onto the tips of your fingers. Step or hop up, coming into a forward fold, hands to floor or legs, or maybe you could find gorilla pose, tucking your hands palms up underneath your feet and rocking the weight back and forth between the balls and the heels of your feet. Soften your knees to ragdoll back up. Let's begin to run through that whole flow again, looking for more fluidity. Big breath in to drop the right arm, shoulder, and ear. Exhale to center. Do the same on the second side. Inhale to center align. Find your first drop on the first side, add an arc and frame. Pause. Before inhaling to center align and exhaling to repeat on the second side. Come back to the middle and with a big inhale, angel wing up, circling the arms. Exhaling to come down in prayer 3 times. 1 circle, 1 prayer down the center line. One standing back bend, sweeping your hands overhead. 1 tabletop fold, sweeping the arms behind you. Repeat 3 times. End in the tabletop, dangle your arms in a halfway lift. Then tap to the mat in a fold and come back to your halfway lift 3 times. Then drop and fold, pausing. Step back into 4-point kneeling and begin to play dynamically in cat-cow. Find your way to neutral. Extend the left leg, right arm, rotate your palm in, float up to the table line, and begin to tuck and reach in bird dog. End in a tuck, then reach, stretch, grow. Back to the mat for some cat-cow. Find neutral. Slide the right leg back and the left arm rotating your palm in. Set your table line and begin to tuck and stretch. End in your tuck. Then reach, stretch, grow. Find your way to down dog for an oblique reach through on either side and then a bare knee tap to the floor and repeat between 3 to 5 times. End in the down dog front, hold it. Stretch arms and legs and wiggle. Slide your legs further away, creating more distance between your hands and your feet. Find your way into plank. Morph into an up dog. Then release your knees, shins and feet, coming into a high cobra line. Start to connect your belly and some of your ribs to the mat. Pausing in a chest lift, adding a double leg lift, sweeping the arms behind for locust, Salambhasana. Then Stikasana, bringing your feet and your hands together, fisting the hands and reaching them for your toes. Open up your legs into parallel, drop your forearms to the mat, pressing away in Sphinx pose. Start to swing the right arm in, using it as an anchor underneath you as you roll onto your right hip, picking your leg line and sweeping your left arm overhead, maybe lifting your hip off the floor. Transition back to Sphinx and use the Sphinx line to set up your line on the left, finding your elbow side plank, pausing once you've found it. Back onto the belly in Sphinx pose, and then seeing how you can find your way from here into toe breaker child, tucking the toes underneath you, starting to bend, sliding your arms back, setting up that extended stretch with the arms long and lengthened in front, taking an off-center creep to the right, bringing your head and your trunk with you, taking the leg furthest from you, swinging it up to the top end of the mat, setting up a wide straddle, stretch, and holding. Look towards the top end of your mat, place your hands off center, reversing your path back to your off-center crept position. Before creeping your way back to the middle, taking a pause, and then repeating the creep to the left. Taking the right leg, swinging it to the top end of the mat, setting up your wide straddle line and settling in. Look towards the top end of your mat, place your hands off center on the mat, and bleed your way back the same way you arrived. Finding your way back to your extended child toe breaker stretch. Morphing it to puppy by releasing the bridges of your feet and sliding your arms forward, thinking chin and chest looking off the front of your mat. Working into the shoulders, into the pecs. Slide your arms back one at a time. Find your way into a cat stretch, holding and breathing into the back of your ribs once you've found the frame. Tuck your toes under, find a relaxed dog, thinking of pressing back into your bum, lower belly, sandwich to the tops of your thighs. Find your way onto the tips of your fingers, step or hop up, coming into a forward fold of your choice, and holding. Maybe even tucking the hands underneath your feet and finding Padahastasana, gorilla pose. Soften your knees, lead your way up. Find Tadasana, mountain pose. Big breath in. On an exhale, drop right. Pause and grow the left side of your ribs. Inhale to center. Exhale to drop left. Inhale to center. Find your first dropping side and add an arc and frame on the opposite arm. Inhale to center. Let's repeat on the second side. Find your way back to the middle. Use a big sweeping angel wing arm to circle overhead and come down in active prayer 3 times. Sync movement and breath. Big inhale in as you sweep the arms overhead for a standing back bend. Exhale to reach back in table 3 times. Bend in the tabletop line and then dangle your arms in a halfway lift and start to play. 1 full fold, 1 halfway lift, 3 times. And in the fold, take a pause, really opening up the back chain of your legs. Step back into 4-point kneeling and start to play in cat-cow when you're ready. Find your way into a neutral table line, slide the left leg and the right arm out, rotating palm in. Float up to table and begin to play 1 tuck, 1 reach. End in the tuck, pause, hold that contraction. Then undo it to stretch through the belly, stretch through the arms, spine and leg. Back to 4-point kneeling for some cat-cow play. Find a neutral table line. Slide the right leg and the left arm out, rotating palm in. Set your table heights. Start to tuck and reach. End in the tuck, pause. Then stretch, reach, grow. Find your way into a down dog and give me an oblique reach through, 1 on either side, and then a knee graze to the floor, shooting for between 3 to 5 repeats. End in a down dog hold. Maybe wiggling your legs further away, looking for a wider down dog frame. Plank it up. Dip your hips, find a strong up dog. Then release knees, shins and feet, setting up a high cobra. Then starting to drop down, taking a lower cobra line. Add a double leg lift, sweep your arms back, coming into your almost bow-like frame through the back as you set up locust. Then bring the feet together, the arms closer together, fisting the hands for stikasana. Open up the legs, unbind the arms, find your way onto the forearms, pressing away in a sphinx line. Start to swivel the right arm in, finding your way onto the right side of your body and setting up an elbow side plank. Reground to the mat, drawing the top knee in, maybe finding an A-line stretch. Back to the belly. Use your sphinx to transition from the right to the left. Setting up your side plank when you're ready. Pausing, holding. Regrounding hip to earth as you draw the top knee in, finding an A-line stretch when you're ready. Onto the belly again in Sphinx pose. And then using the Sphinx to set up a toe breaker child. Tuck your toes under. Start to lift your bum up. Start to walk your hands back, setting up that extended stretch through your arms as you tap your forehead to the floor. Keep the toe breaker stretch through the legs and take an off-center creep to the right. Pause, breathe into the left side of your ribs. Then swing your left leg to the top end of the mat and set up a wide standing straddle, picking the arm line that works for you. Settle in, make sure the weight placement is even on your feet and that your inner thighs are switched on. Look to the top end of your mat, place your hands off center, retrace your path back. Pause along the center line before you take your off-center creep to the left. Swinging the right leg up to the top end of the mat, setting up your wide straddle and settling in. Look to the top end of your mat, find your off-center hand position and retrace your path back to the center. Morphing your toe breaker child into a puppy pose, release the bridges of your feet, slide your arms forward, chin and chest just looking off the front of your mat. Then draw the hands back one at a time and round out into a cat stretch. Pausing the frame once you've found it, Marjariyasana, and breathing into the back of your ribs. Tuck your toes under, start to lift your bum, but press it back, finding a relaxed dog. Ease your way onto the tips of your fingers. Step or hop up, finding a forward fold that works for you. Maybe tucking your hands under your feet and rocking back and forth in Padahastasana. Ragdoll your way back up to the tall mountain to repeat the flow sequence one last time. One drop on the right, center line to drop left. Repeat with an arc and frame. Making sure that you're syncing movement and breath. Center align, or a circling angel wing arm to come down in prayer 3 times. Finding your rhythm, working with your breath. Standing back bend to a tabletop reach behind 3 times. End in table, dangle your hands in a halfway lift, then start to play. 1 fold to the floor, 1 halfway lift. Pause in the fold. Step back when you're ready and find a moving cat-cow. Ease your way into table. Slide your left leg and right arm out, floating up to table and beginning to tuck and reach in bird dog. End in the tuck. Then reach, stretch, grow. Cat-cow for a few. Find neutral. Slide right leg and left arm out. Set your table height and begin to tuck and reach. End in a tuck. Pause. Then grow, reach, stretch. Find your way to a working down dog oblique, 1 reach through on either side, and then 1 bare knee graze to the floor, and repeat 3 to 5 times. End in the down dog stretch. Wiggle your legs further away, give me more distance. Plank it out. Dip your hips with care. Release your knees, your shins, and your feet. Start to make your way onto the belly in a small cobra chest lift. Add the legs, add your sweeping arms. Bring the feet and the hands together, fisting and reaching through your knuckles. Open up the legs into parallel. Release your forearms to the mat, setting up a Sphinx stretch. Using the Sphinx to set up your side plank on the right. Then maybe looking for an A-line stretch with the left leg, regrounding hip to floor, hugging the knee in, and maybe seeing if you can find purchase and extend that leg up towards the sky. Use your Sphinx to transition to the second side, pausing, setting up the left arm underneath you, rolling onto the left hip, and then setting up your side plank on the second side. Reground hip to floor, drawing the top knee in, maybe extending into an A-line stretch. Back to the belly in Sphinx. Use the Sphinx to find a toe breaker child, starting to tuck your toes under, start to pike the bum up, slide your arms back, take a bow on the mat, keeping the toe breaker position. Start to creep off center to the right. Swing your left leg up to the top end of the mat and find a wide standing straddle that works for you. Playing where you're comfortable. Look to the top end of your mat, find your off-center hand position and retrace your path back. From your off-center position back to the middle, taking a pause. Before you creep to the left, swing your right leg up, set up your wide straddle line and settle in. Peek to the top of your mat, find your off-center hand position and retrace your way back to your extended toe breaker child. Morph to puppy pose by relaxing the bridges of your feet and sliding your arms forward, thinking chin and chest grazing the mat, looking off the front of your mat. Draw your arms back one at a time, finding your way into a cat stretch. Hold it. Tuck your toes under. Find your relaxed dog. Use it to step or hop. Find your way into a fold that works for you and pause. While we're holding this last pose, decide on a frame to end off today's practice with a little bit of relaxation. We're going to run through a little nidra exercise. My suggestion would either be grabbing your mat and placing it up against the wall or a piece of furniture so that you can come into legs up against the wall, or maybe you prefer a supine position, coming into corpse pose, maybe using a pillow underneath your feet and or your head today and settling in. Pick a frame that works for you, settle in, and once you find yourself starting to settle, I'd like you to close your eyes, take your focus inward, and start to focus on the pattern of your breath. Eyes closed, focus inward. Start to lengthen and relax your inhales and your exhales. Trying to inhale and exhale exclusively through the nose, keeping your parasympathetic nervous system stoked, starting to relax and rejuvenate the body. In your mind's eye, start to visualize the scene that I'm going to paint for you. See yourself lying on a big, poofy lilo, head and body softly cushioned, floating in the middle of an infinity pool. Blue skies mirrored in the seemingly endless expanse of water. Sun just beginning to shine in earnest. Arrange a big straw hat over your face, cutting out the glare, but still allowing soft sunlight to filter through. The smell of coconut sunscreen wafts around you. Silence nestles you in its palms. Tap into the soothing, healing power of quiet. Revel in the magic rejuvenation that it lends to your soul. Feel the bob of the water beneath you and allow your fingertips to trace lazy, rippling patterns through the water. Occasionally, Sip from your ice cold drink, ice clinking and wet condensation dancing off the cool glass frame. Allow yourself to simply drift. No worries in this perfect, quiet moment. Relax, unwind. Big breath in, big breath out. Big breath in, big breath out. Biggest breath in, longest breath out. Stay here in this relaxed state and take a moment to understand that each morning you are born again. Rise up, start fresh, meet your bright opportunities. Let's end off our practice here by nodding chin to chest on the words Shanti. Peace within, peace without. Thank you so much for meeting me today for our practice. Till next time, keep it light.